Hello YouTubers and preppers, welcome to the channel. I'm Evita Cooks and Preps. It is Fermentation Friday, and for today's fermented project, I have prepared for you my favorite snack, and I'm going to be giving you two different recipes that I hope you enjoy. For the first one, we're going to be needing some orange peel or zest. So I'm going to be peeling the navel oranges. These I picked up very fresh at the market today, and I'm using organic oranges. That's important if you plan to use the peels. On a previous video, I showed you how I dried the orange peels or the citrus peel. I think on that video, I might have talked a little bit about how I like to use them. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll share the link right up here so that you can check it out. I don't like any of it to go to waste. Today I went to the market and they had these beautiful navel oranges on sale. So I picked up a few sacks of them because my boys love oranges and I love saving the peels. And today I'm gonna show you one of the ways that I like to use it. In fact, I think in the back, I'm not sure if you can see it, one of the ways I like to use it is to make fermented drinks, or in this case, an all-natural soda using the orange peels. I believe that one is mandarin orange. It doesn't matter which citrus peel you use. The fact of the matter is you should be saving your peels. It's a great source of fiber. I also use them to make vitamin C capsules. Like I said, the sky's the limit with the different ways that you can use the peels. Okay, so now I'm really just looking for the flavor of the zest. So with a very sharp knife, I'm gonna try to remove all that pith. I don't mind eating it. Like I said, it is a great source of fiber. So if you can tolerate bitter bites, you can skip this process. But today I'm going to remove it. It's not so much because of its bitter flavor. It's more because of the way it looks in the jar. But if you don't mind it, you can skip this process. I suppose you can use a zester to do this. But when you use a zester, a lot of those citrus oils are lost in the process, which is why I rather just do it by hand. I have, I believe, 5 hard-boiled eggs, and to the eggs I'm going to add the orange peel or zest. Of all the many ways that I make these eggs, this is by far my favorite. I have some fresh mint leaves that I'm going to pluck. Next, I'm going to be adding a Serrano chili. It also came from my garden, and I'm going to slice it thinly. Next, I have a garlic clove that I'm also going to thinly slice. Some Redmond real salt, and you can find the link for a 15% discount in the description box below the video. I'll make sure to leave the link right up here. And for a pint size jar, I usually use between half to a teaspoon of salt. Besides the salt, the last ingredient that I'm going to add is a fermented bug. Some people refer to them as starters. I have a ginger pineapple bug that I made, and that is going to be my flavor of choice. We're gonna need about half a cup. These measurements I'm giving you is for the sake of those of you that are always asking for an exact recipe of what I use. But to be honest with you, you don't need a recipe. You can make this without measurements. Do it according to the flavors that you like. But since most of you ask me for a recipe, I always measure all the ingredients. The truth is that I learned how to cook by watching Mommy, and Mommy doesn't have any recipes. Mommy basically cooked, and we either watched her cook and paid attention and take very good notes, but for the most part, the recipes entailed a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I just want to show you, I don't know if you guys can see that, but look at my ginger bug. It is the most delicious natural soda you can have. It's fizzy and bubbly, absolutely delicious. And I'm adding it directly into the jar. And at this point, you could either top it with more ginger bug or some purified water. And I'm gonna use purified water because I don't want this to become too fizzy. So I think I need maybe about a quarter cup of water just to top it off. And that is very important as well. You wanna make sure that the eggs are submerged into the liquid. If you can't get them completely submerged, don't stress over it, but at least try. Look at all those Serrano chilies. They are so beautiful. I just tasted one of them. It's a little bit spicy, so I'm pretty content with that. To this, you can also add red chili flakes, which you guys know by now, they're my favorite. You can also add some jalapenos, whatever you have on hand. If you like it very spicy, you know, go for it. Just keep on adding whatever hot spices you have and make it your own. Next, all we have to do is cover it. Now, these lids claim to be leak proof, but I promise you they're not. Even though they're not leak proof, I'm just going to very gently shake it just to make sure we get rid of some of those air bubbles, and also because I want to see if I can get all those aromatics evenly distributed. It doesn't really matter if they do. You see, they're definitely not leak proof. No problem. I think I have a rag right here. Okay, and again, I'm going to check the level of the liquid or the water just to make sure that we have enough. And I think I'm going to add just a little bit more water, but don't overdo it because this is going to ferment. And by now you should know that anytime we ferment, that's going to generate CO2. That CO2 is going to become fizzy and bubbly. Therefore, there's going to be gases that are going to accumulate in the jar. That's going to cause the liquid to rise, which brings me to the next important point, which is that depending on the internal temperature of your home and the environment, I know I sound like a broken record, but that's very important. This can take more or less time. Okay, let's set this one aside and make the next one. And this one, I also have 5 hard-boiled eggs. And to this pint size jar, I'm going to be adding 1 clove of garlic thinly sliced. I'm also going to be adding some whole peppercorn. That's to taste, but for this size, about 1/4 teaspoon is fine. From my garden, I have a jalapeno pepper, and I'm also going to thinly slice. As an optional ingredient, I'm going to be adding about 1/8 teaspoon of cumin. Next, I'm going to be adding some Redmond real salt, about 1 teaspoon of the salt. I'm just going to pluck some of these fresh leaves. What I have here is probably about 20 leaves of fresh cilantro, and I'm just going to put them on the top. If you haven't seen the video where I show you how to preserve the cilantro, I'll also leave the link right up here for you. To finish, we need the ferment, and this time I'm using this one right here, which is a ginger kaffir water that I made using with the kaffir granules. But I'm starting again with about 1/2 cup of the starter and then just topping it with some purified water. And in about 3 to 5 days, these eggs are going to be ready and they're going to be amazing. Besides, over easy is my favorite way of eating eggs. Like all fermentation projects, whether you're making vinegar or fermenting vegetables or wine, it's always a good idea to label them with the date and the content so that a week down the road when you look at it, you remember what it is, but most importantly, so that you can monitor it. For the next 3 to 5 days, these eggs are going to begin fermenting. Typically for me, at the 24 to 48 hour mark, they're ready, and I'm usually impatient, so I start eating them at that time. But at the end of the 5th day, they should be ready. And you want to keep them in the refrigerator if you're not done eating them at the end of the 5 days. But these you can keep in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. However, just keep in mind that these are eggs, and the longer they stay on that brine or this fermenting liquid, the eggs are going to start breaking down and the liquid is going to change appearance. That's not to say that they're bad. Just use your best judgment. Again, if you've never tried eating fermented eggs and you're a little bit apprehensive or concerned, but you still want to try them, my suggestion is that you consult your doctor and he gives you the green light. You give it a try and come back and let us know your thoughts. Before I go, let me remind you to burp your jars daily, especially for the first 3 to 5 days while you have them in the counter. That's very important. And if you're gonna keep them on the counter, it's not a bad idea to keep them on top of a rack or maybe one of these cute crochet coasters. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you wanna see more, consider subscribing to the channel, like, share, and comment for the YouTube algorithms, and activate the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And until next time, I'm Evita, Cooks and Preps. Bon appetit! You really have to try it. Happy fermenting, everyone.